Hello, and welcome back to another pen talk. Thank you very much for choosing to watch my channel and join me as I explore this amazing, incredible wide world of pens. And I do enjoy the exploration. And this is a pen that intrigued me. I like the look. I already have one in red. It's a WingSung 630, which is their big pen with the number 8 nib. It feels good in the hand. It's certainly of that 149 size, even though that's a pen I don't have nor plan to, but you can look up dimensions and figure out what you like. But what distinguishes this version from the first version is a clear barrel, so you can see the piston. And yes, it's full of ink, all 1.8 milliliters of ink. And that piston is a brass piston, which is also common of a higher-end pen, as one might say. Fit and finish is good, the plating is good, dog hair is not included. And I put it on the Rattler Snake because it needed a big stand to be on. So we're going to explore this pen, compare it to some other pens, talk about what other versions of this pen you might like. Stay tuned. So the first thing you might ask, some do, some don't, how many turns to take the cap off? Well, it takes, and those threads are just not done well. It takes about one turn, slightly over one turn. And I've cleaned the threads, I put a little silicone grease on them, but they just don't match up as well, not as well as they do on my red 630. So when they changed the barrel material to this clear material, charcoal color in this version, evidently the threading is not done as well as it's on the solid colored barrels. At least that's my opinion. And yes, there's ink in the pen. That's a nice looking number 8 nib. And this Newler's Mass 54th does color the nib. I think that somehow explains how well it writes, much better than the red 630, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So this pen, unposted, feels great in the hand. That's a big, beefy section there. You don't feel those threads, even though they don't work as well as they should. And yes, as you would expect, it posts well. But that cap has a decent weight to it, and it does change the balance, but not quite. The balance is still somewhere, at least around here, so it's somewhere right in the crooks of the hand, so it doesn't really impede the writing experience that much. But it's not a very stable capping, posting, but it'll work if you want to put it there. So those who follow my channel know I very seldom have one of a pen. I generally have more than one, and part of the reason is I enjoy having more of one. And secondly, I think it's good to take a look at consistency, build across more than one pen. You know, who's to know whether the one you have is a dud or is it representative of all the rest of them? And how much is it representative? I enjoy the red and gold. I think it just kind of adds a different flavor to it. You can see, again, black and gold is obviously a classic combination. And that clear barrel certainly gives a different look to the pen. Same size, same weight, same everything else, but a different look. So remember I talked about how wonky the threads were on the black model, and I blamed the black barrel. So let's try the red cap. It's a little sticky, but not as bad as the black cap is. But both of these pens, that last little bit of a turn when you close the cap just catches up. But it does make for an effort to remove the cap, which is good if you're worried about sometimes the cap getting loose, and I know that's happened to me. So here we have the black cap on the red barrel. And this is smooth, much smoother than the black barrel and the black cap. So there is some type of threading change. that seems to really just accentuate. Yeah, it is the barrel, because that cap certainly sticks, so that it just is a sticky movement. But it does seal up well, and that's the important part. Yeah, the cap on the red one is okay. You wouldn't really be that concerned about it. The black one definitely doesn't feel as the quality feel you would want from a large pen that's not inexpensive by Chinese standards. Here are some pens with number 8 size nibs made from some Chinese manufacturers. We have the two WingSung 630s here, and I put the Jinhao X159 here because it follows a similar design style that the 630s do, and just for the sake of comparison, here's a 9019, which has a more streamlined design, no rings top and bottom. Here's that lake blue, which is really a great color. Here's a transparent red one, so you get to see transparencies. One of the big differences, obviously, converter, piston fill. And here's the Hongdian number 8 size pen, piston fill, made from metal. So a lot of varieties here, and a lot of tempting pens to get you to change some of your money from currency into a material item like a pen. Let's take a look at the nibs. So there was no need to uncap all the other pens because there's similar nibs in those. So the WingSung two-tone nib certainly looks nice, and so does the Jinhao two-tone nib. This is a medium, this is a fine. The 630 only comes in fine, and then we have the Hongdian in a black nib here, the N10 model, and that's also in a very fine point. But they're all impressively large nibs, nice sections. The N10 is the smaller of these sections, but you got to accommodate that number 8 nib somehow. So as far as bits and pieces go, the 630 is a simple design. We have the barrel, the piston cap, and you can see the flat edges there. So you bring out the Asvine wrench, and we'll see that this end here fits on those slots, and you could unscrew the piston. I'm not going to do that. As you can see, there's 2 other cutouts, and then the end with those little feet on it for some of the other piston fillers. This is all one piece. The section does not unscrew, but when you unscrew the nib, you get a nice big opening there to go into the piston if you wanted to flush out and change inks. And here's the piston assembly, which is a nice design, has that little lip on it, so when you tighten it up, it has the O-rings. I'll put silicone grease here. It's not an easy nib to pull out, but there's a pretty big size channel in that feed. Number 8 nib. It looks good, but the other 630, I have problems with the flow, and I've done everything I can do except push out the feed and look at the channel and potentially open it up, but I'm yet not decided on whether I'm going to do that or not. The cap is the standard design which we've seen on many models. If we look inside, we'll see a nice liner in there, a nice brass screw at the top. So if you wanted to disassemble this and rebend the clip or anything else like that, you could do it. So it's a good design pen, hopefully for the long life. So I always think about inks to put in a pen, and I wanted this ink in the pen. Number one, I'm very familiar with the ink flow characteristics. I wanted a permanent ink in the pen because I'm a feeling of taking the pen on the road, but we'll see. So the Mass 54th is definitely a dark blue-black. You can see that little bit of blue and a lot of dark color. Let's see how it works in the pen. So I'm very happy how this 630 writes. That fine nib is approaching a medium. Lays down a very, very consistent, fairly wet line. And Mass 54th dries pretty quick on this Fabriano paper. As you probably heard, it's very, very smooth. You can write with no pressure. So as a writing pen, I enjoy it quite a bit. Unlike the red one, which I still haven't got that nib to work consistently well. So I've smoothed the nib, flossed the nib. I thought there might be baby's bottom, so I worked on that. The tines were slightly misaligned. I corrected that. Everything I did, just as you can see, the nib skips. And as you can see, the other one, never skipped at all. So it might be the Monteverdi DC Super Pen Show Blue that's in there, but Monteverdi inks are fairly wet and free-flowing, so I've never had an issue with Monteverdi inks. That was generally due to the ink, but if I want the red pen to be my everyday writer, I'm going to have to figure out a solution. So if you want to try a big pen, piston filler with a number 8 nib, this should be on your short list. Comes in a variety of colors, solid colors as well as clear colors, and there's a new version out that has a flat top, which I may have purchased if I'd have known about it before I bought this one. And also the pricing seems to vary quite a bit, which is typical. And Bobby is selling it on Etsy, and he's saying you could get the WingSung version or the other version. He just picks one and ships it when you order the pen, but the same pen. Again, probably made in the same factory, except one branded WingSung, the other one branded, I would call generic or factory branded. That's just my opinion. So these pens are nice. They're big, they're comfortable, they're impressive, you know, if that's something that you're interested in. So, like I say, it's worth a try if you find the pen interesting, and search around for the best price. So we've come to the conclusion of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everyone is safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, having some fun, trying out something new. Who knows what might happen? So with that, we've reached the end, and we will say bye. Got one more pen in the pipeline. We'll see that one soon.